I think it is, right? Okay, you said test 1.
Problem 1.
Okay, do you all have this?
Are these just for us?
Yes. You all have those. Okay, so one more time, forgive me. You said test 1, number
1C.
1C. Very good, yes. So let's refresh our memory on how to solve using completing the square. So if the problem on your test does not specify what method to use, you do whatever you want. But this one specifically says, show me that you know how to complete the square. What is the first step?
Adding a number.
Brian?
Find B.
Okay. Tom, what did you say?
I was just saying finding the number to add to both sides, but he had it better than I did.
Right, exactly. But that's exactly, you talked at the same time and I didn't hear. I'm sorry. My apologies. So here's what I recommend. And I learned this from a student yesterday. And she had a good point. Okay, I learned from you and I hope you learn from me. She said, I'd rather move 10 first because I am tempted, after I find a b squared, blah, 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 I am tempted to add it to 10. And it's a good point. I never thought of it. So I recommend move 10 first. I think it's a good idea. Then I start the procedure. Step 1, identify the middle coefficient, which in this case is?
80.
Careful.
-8.
Yes. Then in step 2, I divide it by 2. Okay, so -8 divided by 2 is?
-4.
-4. In step 3,
Square it?
I square -4. What do I get?
16.
Very good. In step 4, what do I do with 16?
Add it to both sides.
Yes. So I'm adding 16, but it has to be to both sides. Very good. So when I add 16 to the left-hand side, I get x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals -10 plus 16. If you do not add it to both sides, you're going to change the problem. You're not going to get the solution. Okay, so what do I have on the left-hand side?
The complete equation.
I have the completed square.
Oh,
Okay, so can anyone tell us what will this be replaced by? And we have, this is specifically why I started with that agreement with you and in all my classes. Brian?
X minus 8. X minus 8.
But 8 squared will not be 16.
X minus 4.
Exactly. X minus 4, everything squared. Exactly what I squared to get 16. That's where I get it from. And the right-hand side, of course, is 6. What will I do next? If I do that, then I'm going backwards. Yes,
take the square root.
Eddie? Yes. This is specific, typical for taking square root. So if you remember, let me say this one more time. Every time we complete the square, we do not solve the equation. We only complete the square. But then I have to take the square root from both sides. Because as I mentioned before several times, complete the square will not solve the equation. I have to use taking square roots. And how many solutions do I have to obtain? So that should ring a bell. What do I have to write next?
Plus or minus.
Exactly. X minus 4 equals,
Plus or minus root 6.
that's it. If I forget to put plus or minus, I can't get full credit because I only get one solution instead of 2. And now the final step. Yes. That's it. Ashley, is this okay?
Yes.
And Alex, as I mentioned right before you came in, Alex, I'm extending the homework till Sunday, all the work in my math lab, okay? So for everyone to complete and be ready. But if you don't complete it between now and Thursday, there may be a problem, right? You may not be fully prepared for the test. Okay. You can come in early if you'd like to start early. If you think you need more time, I allow more time on Thursday.
Can you tell us how many questions there are?
About 20. And I made it such that it's about an hour long, but you have more time. You have the entire class time. Any questions? Yes, please, Tom.
This isn't really a question about how to solve a problem. It's, well, it technically is, I guess. Test 2, number 5, is show the algebraic proof. What do you mean by that?
Yes. So in number 5, we are given f of x equals 5x cubed minus 6x to the 5th. Is that the problem you're looking
Yes.
at? Okay, perfect. In this problem, I'm asked to show whether this function is odd, even, or none of the above. Okay, so what do I have to do first?
You have to graph it.
Algebraically. So let me refresh our memory on odd and even. This is important because we need it in the next chapter.
I don't mean to sound rude, but, well, actually, you guys might, so never mind. I was going to say I know the difference, but that's not important.
Okay, tell me what the difference is.
Okay, so odd is it reflects evenly about the origin. Even, it reflects about the y-axis.
Correct, but what is the relationship? The algebraic relationship.
Algebraic relationship.
That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know how to explain it. It's lost on me.
Okay, so let's refresh.
The outputs are negative reciprocal.
Say it again,
The
Brian.
outputs are negative reciprocal.
Not negative reciprocals.
Negative
That is
opposites.
for, no, that is for two perpendicular lines. The slope of the one line is the negative multiplicative inverse of the other. We're talking about symmetry for functions. So anyone remembers the algebraic relationship? Okay, here it is. F of negative x for odd equals
F of negative x, or negative f of x.
Thank you. And in case of the even, f of negative x equals? Very good. This is what I have to show, which means I have to determine what? Look at these two, and
You have
you'll,
to determine that it's one or the other.
yes. So what do I have to determine, no matter what?
That f of negative x is
Correct.
equal to
That's what I have to determine. No, that's the answer. I have to determine f of negative x.
okay.
1 minute. So how do I find f of negative x? Can anyone dictate? F of negative x, what do I write?
Negative 5x cubed.
So it's 5 first of all. 5 is 5, has nothing to do with the variable. Multiplied by,
Negative x cubed
very good. Then,
minus 6
yes,
negative x to the fifth.
yes, that's it. So this is the first step. This is what I'm trying to determine. Why do I need this? It's in both relationships. I have to start there. I have no choice. I have to determine f of negative x. Okay, so now let's continue and try to simplify. Can anyone tell us how much is negative x to the third power?
I would s-
Yeah,
it's-
3 negatives. It's negative. So
So just negative x cubed.
negative x cubed multiplied by 5.
Negative 5x cubed.
That's it. Good. Let's look at the other one. Negative x to the 5th power.
6 positive 6x.
I agree, because it's negative x to the 5th multiplied by negative 6, positive x to the 5th. Once I determined this piece, I'm asking myself 3 questions. Here's the first question. Does this equal negative f of x? If that's the case, I will say odd. I don't know yet. Does this equal f of x? If it does, then I'll say even. If none of the above happens, then I'll say not. None of the above. Not symmetric. So let's start with the easy one. Is this identical with the function? Are they identical?
They're opposites.
First of all, are they identical? No. So definitely the function is not even because they are not identical. Is that clear?
So then it's got to be odd because
Not necessarily. Be careful. Not necessarily.
what you've done is
Correct. But I have not determined this yet. How do I determine if I'm given a function? How do I determine negative f of x?
switch the signs.
Right. Multiply this side by -1. Multiply this term by -1. Multiply this term by -1. So now I'm asking myself, okay, is this identical with this?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you're way ahead of me. I still have to say one word. Thank you, Tom. So it is odd. So in other words, I will also say, as Tom already told us, the function is symmetric with respect to,
The origin.
yes. This is the algebraic way of showing whether a function is symmetric. Is this understood?
Yes.
All steps, everyone, not just Tom.
Yeah, not just
Yes? Okay. This is what I have to show on the test. Good. Next question, anything you have in mind?
What about your question? You asked that yet?
Yes?
Number 5 on test 2.
Number 5 on test 2. 5 on
That's
this
a
was
long one.
this was number 5 on test 2.
Okay, then the other one on the
Test 1.
agenda.
Number 5 on test 1. Oh yeah. You're talking about this one. Okay, these come from the handout that I gave out, and I was kindly asking you to do all those problems. They have the answers in the back.
Answers.
The handout, the first day handout with supplementary problems. That's where this guy is coming from. Okay? Similar.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do it. No, we have to do it. So 2, x minus 3 cubed times 3, 4x minus 1 squared minus x minus 3 to the 4th times 3 times 4x minus 1 times 4. Everything divided by 4x minus 1 to the 4th. Very good. In this problem, we are asked to factor and fully simplify. Can anyone give us an idea? I'll tell you what I would like to do, and you'll tell me yay or nay.
You can take x out of everything, right?
Nope. Here's what I would like to do. I would like to simplify this 4x minus 1 squared with this 4x minus 1 to the 4th.
So then it becomes 1, and the one below in the denominator just becomes 4x, so 4x minus 1 squared.
Right. So is it a yes or is it a no?
That's what I thought, but it seems wrong.
Of course it is wrong. Absolutely it's wrong. Was a catch in there, right? Why? These are terms. This is a term and this is a term. This is a factor. I cannot simplify a piece from a term with a factor. Of course it's wrong. So please don't do that. Good. Now, I'm looking at the top. How many terms we have? We're not talking about multiplication. When we talk about terms, we are adding or subtracting quantities. If you don't see a positive sign or a negative sign, you do not have terms. So if I remove this from here, it's only one term with several factors. So I look It's 2 multiplied, 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 minus multiplied, 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 multiplied. So how many terms do we have at the top? Exactly 2. Awesome. Thank you. So this is the first term, and this is the second term. Good. Now, if you remember, I like to clean up everything and make it as simple as possible. Simplify factor, simplify factor. These are the key words in all math classes. So I will rearrange this, multiplying 2 and 3. So I get a 6. Then I have x minus 3 cubed, and then 4x minus 1 squared. There is no reason to have a 2 in front and a 3 in the middle. I am allowed to rearrange the factors the way I like. And this term is identical with this term. Now I finally got to minus. Can anyone tell me how to clean up the second one? How to simplify? If you don't like the words, clean up.
3 and 4, giving you 12.
Very good. And then x minus 3 to the 4th, and then 4x minus 1. Perfect. Now I'm back to those 2 terms, and I look carefully and try to find the greatest common factor. Do I have a greatest common factor? And you should say several, not just one. So let's look at those 2 terms, and the first common factor you will say is 6, of course. Absolutely, thank you. Of course, 6. The second common factor is?
3.
Say it again.
X minus
Of course, x minus 3. Which power? The smallest of the 2. Correct. Very good. Now let's look again. Is there another common factor?
Yes.
4x minus 1.
Yes, indeed. 4x minus 1. Which power?
1.
Yes, I have to choose the smallest. Now I use brackets. Don't forget the minus has to be right there in the middle. Something is left over from the first term minus what is left over from the second term. Can anyone tell us what is left over from the first term?
4x minus 1.
Careful.
Uh,
You're right. I just wanted to talk about all of them, but you're right. It's fine. So 6 is out. X minus 3 cubed is out. From these 2, I take in front 1, so one of them is left inside. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
And you have the 1 x minus 3 left.
So first we start with a number.
Right, 12.
This is 12, but this is 6. So from
So
12, I pulled out a
2.
2, indeed. X minus 3 to the 4th is, oh, 4,
Calculate
yes.
to
And I have to use parentheses. And 4x minus 1
It's right there.
is right there. Do we agree with this? Everyone? Okay, so now obviously I have to combine like terms in here. And now, only now, I'm allowed to do this. Which power?
3.
That's it. Only now, because now 4x minus 1 became a factor at the top. It's not a piece of a term that I cannot simplify. Now it's a complete factor. It's outside. It's done. So inside here I have 4x minus 1 minus 2x plus 6. So therefore the simplified form is 6, x minus 3 cubed. And please give me the simplified form of the top, and then 4x minus 1 to the 3rd. And this is done. There's nothing else we can do here.
Two x
Yes?
minus 7. Not plus.
plus 5.
That's it. This is the final simplified form. Any questions for me? Okay, what else we would like to go back and review? Please choose. We want to use the time efficiently. Please choose. Anything you want. It's okay if you didn't get the chance to work on this. It's okay. Just let's not waste time. What else would you like me?
Two, number 3.
Which one? Test 2, number 3. test 2, number 3. The equation with the negative 2, 3?
Yes.
Very good. Let's do that. So we have a point, and we know that the line whose equation we don't have is perpendicular to the line 2x minus 5y equals 7. And we're asked to find the equation of the line. Okay, here's the idea. I'm not really graphing anything accurately. I'm just giving you the idea. So I'm asked to find the equation of this line. I know two things about it. I know that it passes through negative 2, 3. Somewhere along the line, I have this point. And it's perpendicular to an equation, to a line whose equation is given to us. Anyone other than Tom would like to tell us what to do, what is the idea, any suggestions? Yes, Brian?
Put the equation in linear.
In a point, in a slope intercept form. Why would I put the green equation? Can anyone tell other than Tom?
To find the slope.
Yes. So, Tom, are you okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
know. I was like, it wasn't that.
I'm trying to be funny.
It was
And I'm trying to be ahead of you, actually. it's
there's something
it's
else
very
that had
hard.
me like that.
I apologize. It's very hard. Okay, so negative 5y equals negative 2x plus 7. We had to move 2x to the other side. It became negative. And then we divide both sides by, and once I apologize with witnesses, it must count, right? Thank you. Okay, so we divide both sides by negative 5. So 2 over 5x minus 7 over 5. Remember to divide term by term. Instead of just writing the fraction line over negative 5. Please don't do that, because it will be difficult to identify the slope correctly. So I divide this by negative 5. I divide negative 2 by negative 5, positive 2/5, and 7 divided by negative 5, negative 7/5. So now I have the slope, M2, let's say, of the green line. What is the slope, M2, of the green line?
-5/2.
Okay, so Thomas, I said, is a mile ahead already. We can't even see him. So the slope of the second line is 2/5. So now M1 is indeed negative 5/2. Can anyone tell us how did Tom come up with negative 5/2? The negative multiplicative inverse or negative reciprocal, because why? The lines are perpendicular. Otherwise, it would not be the case. Good. So now I have the point, which is or is not the y-intercept.
Nope.
Right. The y-intercept would have been 0, a number. So I would have used y equals mx plus b, but I can't because I am not given the y-intercept. Yes. So then I have y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1, in which I will replace the slope by negative 5/2, and negative 2 is x1, and 3 is y1. So let's work on this for half a minute and get the equation. And we have to solve for y. In the meantime, please choose another problem to work on. Today there is no classwork. We are just working on reviewing, and everyone gets 10 points today. Are you happy? Good. Me too.
10 points just for attending, not me.
Just for showing up. Yes. Yes. You deserve it. Okay. So I have y minus 3 equals negative 5/2. X minus negative 2 is x plus 2. I distribute negative 5/2. And then negative 5 over 2 times 2 over 1 is?
-5.
Very good. And then I have to bring 3. It was negative on this side. Positive 3. So finally, y equals negative 5 halves x, and then?
Plus 2 minus
Good. Can anyone tell us what this equation represents?
The
Equation of the line? Yes. Passing through the point negative 2, 3, and perpendicular to the given line. Very good. Next problem, anything? We don't have to stick to this. Once you reviewed and once you worked on your My Math Lab homework, if you have something from there. What?
Do on test one,
Yes. Test 1.
letter D.
1D?
Question one.
1D, very good. So let's take a look. Good pick. So this is x to 2/3 minus x to 1/3 minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so let's look at this equation and make a decision what type it is. Because once I know what type it is, then I have great chances of solving it. Quadratic in form, awesome. It is quadratic in form. Yes, very good. If I say that, I should think of a substitution. If you can factor it without a substitution, it's fine. Okay, but I recommend, say, give me a letter.
Y.
Anything, okay, y equals,
the equation.
X to the 1/3.
yes, x to 1/3 will be our y. Only if it's true, and this can be replaced by,
Y squared.
right. If that cannot be replaced by y squared, then the equation is not quadratic in form, and I cannot use this method. Perfect. So let's verify. When you square this, do you get that? Because when you square this, you don't get, if I square this and I don't get that, it's not quadratic in form. So let's check.
I would say so.
So x to 1/3, everything squared. I copy the base. What do I do with the exponents? Which operation? Yes, 1/3 times 2/1. How much is that? 2/3. So that's correct. So then, therefore, this equation can be changed into
Y squared minus y minus 6 equals 0.
yes. This, I have no difficulties factoring. This may be slightly more difficult to factor. Okay, how do I factor this? And of course, you don't have to factor if you don't want to. You can use the quadratic formula. But since it takes so little time to factor, I recommend factoring. So how will you factor that?
-1.
6.
Well, you don't know that you can't take a number out of the variable.
The product is -6 and the sum is -1. Very good. Y minus 3, y plus 2. Perfect. The sum is -1, the product is -6. So there are two options for y. And the options for y are
Y equals 3.
awesome and -2. Very good. Now this is another equation that I have to solve. This is another equation that I have to solve. Okay, can anyone dictate the first equation?
3 2/3.
X to 1/3. I cannot use this. I don't have y squared. This was just the check. Y will be replaced by what I started with. So then x to 1/3 equals 3. The second equation is?
Excellent.
Yes. Good. How do I solve something like this? What do I have to do?
Square them.
I wish. If I square them, this power becomes 2/3, and then I have 9. I cancel. I want to eliminate power 1/3. What should I do to both sides to eliminate power 1/3? Yes.
Wait a second.
Yes. Cube. If I want to eliminate power 1/3, only raising both sides to the third power will help, right? We agree? Okay, the left-hand side is for the first equation. Yes. The second one is -8. Remember, they come with question mark. So I would like to show this with a graphing calculator. And I talk too much instead of being ready with this. Okay, so in y equals, let's put in our function, equation, but I have to put it as a function. Here it is. In y equals, please. Clear if you have anything else in there. So we have x, power. I put parentheses because I'm old-fashioned. So some calculators may not require parentheses, but I don't trust them, so I do this no matter what. Minus x caret, in parentheses again, 1 divided by 3. And then I have -6. I go to second and table. What do I want to plug in?
3.
27 and that's it. What should I get when I plug in 27? Of course, I have to get 0. If I don't get 0, what do I conclude about 27?
It's false.
Right. Did I get 0?
You did.
Okay, -8. What should I get when I pick?
0.
Yes. Otherwise, it's
You
not
got
going.
10, so no.
So those are were other numbers from leftover.
That's the extremist.
Are you okay?
Sorry, no.
Okay. Good. Anything else? Anything else?
Oh, I actually did have something about the very same problem.
Yes.
Because if you let x to the 1/3 equal 3, and x to the 2/3 is x to the 1/3 squared, then it's a true solution.
Let's plug in 3.
Plug in 3 for x to the 1/3.
Okay.
So 3 squared, which is 9, minus 3
So if I plug in 3,
minus 6 equals 0.
I have to write this down, what you just said. But if I plug in 3, I will never get 0.
What I'm saying is,
Yes, let me write it down.
okay,
I'm ready.
set x to the 1/3 equal to 3.
So this is 3.
Yeah, that is 3.
Good.
And 3 squared.
So this must be 9.
Yeah, 9 minus 3 minus 6 equals 0. It's, yeah. Why did I bring this up now? Seems very simple.
Let me tell you why. But 3 is x to 1/3. You have not solved for x yet. You only told me if you replace x to 1/3 by 3 and the other one by 9,
Oh,
you get a true statement.
I
But you
see.
haven't
Okay.
told me what x was. So here you still have to cube both sides and you
Right.
still get x equals 27.
Right.
Better?
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Anything else? Other questions from anything?
That same test, the question